the love ever since you've been around. Your love put me at the top of the world. I'm on the top of the world looking down. Hey, kia ora, Helen Brahms here coming to you live from Sun City in Arizona. Hope you're all having a super fantastic, sparkling, shake it up Saturday. Yes, we are definitely shaking up our Saturday today. What are you doing that is going to be something new or something out of the norm of what you normally do on a Saturday? Let us know in the comments below. That would be awesome, because I always like new ideas. See what people's doing. What are you trying? What are you exploring and discovering and things like that? Sometimes when you do things out of the norm or you try something new, you discover new things, which is awesome, because then you've got new places to go and everything else. What do we do? Well, I told you we've already shaken up our Saturday. So our Saturday has been shaken up because we have nothing on except a call in a couple of hours. But shake it up Saturday, yes, my dog's not very happy with me right now. I didn't get to bed till 3:30 this morning. Yes, I will admit my name is Helen Brahms and I'm a genealogist. And those who are genealogists will know what it's like when you catch hold of a thread and you do not want to let it go. So throughout the day, I work during the days and then I do my genealogy at night. And there's time. And the last couple of weeks, I've been helping a friend with a genealogy emergency with documents that she needed to get, and she had a time crunch on them, and she wasn't able to find them. So we were able to help her with that, which was a true honor to be able to do. But what was really fun was that during that time and doing all that research and stuff, I started getting ideas for my clients as to what I can do for them. And oh, go away. And I bet it's a junk. I'm getting spam texts now. Spam texts. Really? Seriously. Instead of spam calls, I get spam texts. But anyway, off track. So when you're busy working on on something in genealogy and you discover a new way to do something, or like this class I did 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago now, 3 weeks ago, whenever I did it, it opened my eyes to a whole bunch of stuff I did not know was available at all here in the United States, because New Zealand, I knew where to go to get stuff. Here in the States, it's sort of like been hit and miss, but now I know how to go and specifically look to see where records are held. And that was one of the biggest takeaways of the thing was, there's multiple places that records can be held. This is how you access them. If you have to access them in person, this is what you need to do. If you can access them online, this is how you find out. So it was a big help in helping me research instead of trying to figure it out for myself. And there was a whole bunch of other stuff that I learned as well. So a lot of that came in to help me with the client who had the emergency on where to go to get information, which was awesome. But sometimes the information wasn't where it was supposed to be, and we had to find a different route to find it, which is what we did. So there's always something in every story. And then what we did is that, so during that process, I was sort of like, and I'm working with a client at the moment and trying to find information on her dad's side of the family and her maternal grandmother. And I'm sort of like thinking, and as I'm researching, so I'm like, maybe I could try that to find that person. Maybe I could try this. So, as you're doing different, you're going down, you have, you draw up a research plan at the beginning of any genealogy. Before I do any genealogy job, the first thing I do is I interview the person who's looking for the information, finding out what is it you want to know, what current information do you currently have, what's all the information that you currently have about the person that you're looking for or the people that you're looking for. I want to, I get them to give me as much information, and I'll pepper them with questions and everything else. And we record the interview so that I can go back afterwards and take even more detailed notes, because I know that as I'm talking to them and writing stuff down, I am missing stuff. So it's always good to say to the clients, is it okay if I record? Which is kind of cool. And then I can go back and read the notes. But I'm trying to so I draw up the plan on how I'm going to, where I'm going to start my research, and basically kind of the steps I'm going to take. So I drop the process for doing the research for that particular client. Now, sometimes you come along and the process doesn't work. It breaks down because where you think the information is, it's not. Even though you've done the research of the area and you know where to get the records and everything else, they're not where they're supposed to be. And so sometimes you got to think, okay, where else can I? So when you're working on a different client, something that you're researching there may trigger something that says, oh, go try this. So I have several notebooks because each client gets their own notebook. And I have in there where I go, what I'm researching, my research plan, things I need, but also ideas of where to go. And so I went and wrote them in that notebook, check this, or try this, check this, and it started another train of thought, so I started writing them down. And that's my goal today, is to do some genealogy research for that particular client I was writing down the ideas for. And so then I started thinking, and then it triggered something else on another tree. And I said, oh, let me go research. So I was just sort of like going from trigger to trigger to trigger last night. Zeffie came and bugged me, I don't know how many times, after we went for a walk and everything else. Normally we play, which we did. We did do our playtime and our training time. And then I thought, oh, let me just quickly go and try this. You know, when you get in that mindset, you just can't let it go. And it's like, oh, but I really wanted to go and see what the conclusion was to a program I was watching, because they have it kind of serialized. There's a different story each week, but there's also a backstory that's running through the series. And I wanted to go see what was going to happen next. I forced myself to turn the TV off the other night, up all night. And so I came over here and I said, no, I'm just going to look up this one thing. When it comes to genealogy, looking up this one thing is never one thing. So Zeffie came and bugged me a few times, and we started stopping and play, throw the ball for her or whatever, give her some scratches and love on her and all of that. And she came out at one point and she was like, puts her feet up on the seat next to me and just glares at me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what have I done? And I look up and it was 3 o'clock in the morning. I've done it again. I have not done a genealogy dig like that in a long time. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got to get to bed. So by the time I got into bed and did everything that I know, my nightly routine and everything else, it was like 3:30. And I was like, oh, my alarm's going to go off at 5:07. And I thought, I'm turning the alarm off. So I turned the alarm off and I woke up at 7 o'clock. I thought, sleeping, yay. And we laid there for a bit, but I have learned with Zeffie, if you want to get Zeffie, and I always like to reach over and just give her scratches in the morning when I wake up, but her head is never where I can reach it. But I have learned with her that she does not like having her paws touched first thing in the morning. So I start scratching her paws and her head comes down and butts underneath my hand. So now her head is in the right place for scratches. Yes. So I have learned that with her. And so I did that with her this morning. And we finally got up like around 8 o'clock. And we've already showered, dressed, been for a walk. We haven't had breakfast yet. So our routine for the Saturday morning is already out of whack, which is awesome and amazing, because when it is out of whack or it's out of the norm, it's not just get up, have breakfast, have a shower, get dressed, go for a walk, come back, do your live, da, 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 da. No, it's been topsy-turvy because we got up later than we normally do. I don't have any workshops on today, which I have for the last 3 or 4 weekends I've had workshops on. So it's kind of like, this is kind of free and we don't have to do a tight routine today. We can do a very loosey-goosey routine today. So we've already, got up, showered, dressed, went for our walk, haven't had breakfast yet, doing my live now. And then, so after this, I'll go get breakfast. So we're already kind of out of whack with it. We got up later than we normally do. So I'm kind of out of whack with my day. And I have my little thing on here saying that I turned my alarm clock off. I always tell whenever I turn my alarm clock off, I leave myself a pink sticky note right here in the middle of the table so that I know, oh, I've got to go turn that back on. But I'm leaving it here and out where it can be seen because I want to keep the alarm off for tonight as well. We'll think about that. I'm thinking about that. But I may just go turn it back on now and decide on that later. But that's my little warning that your alarm clock is off, because my biggest fear is that if I don't leave myself a note like this, I'm going to forget that the alarm clock is off and go to bed on a Sunday night and not wake up in time for my stuff on Monday morning. That's my biggest fear. So I make sure I have notes around that tell me my alarm clock's off, my alarm clock's off. So even if as soon as I'm done this, I'm going to go turn it back on. And then if I decide to turn it off tonight, then I'll put my note back in the middle of the table here for tomorrow morning. But yes, and I've got a call at 11 o'clock, and then the rest of the day is to do with what I please. And I'm going to be doing some more genealogy digging today. So it's kind of fun. I've got this whole weekend. And then I reconnected with one of my nieces, and she's done a whole move, a whole career change, and it was her birthday yesterday, so I sent her a video message. I got a video message back from her last night, which was really cool. And so we're going to set up a time to get on a Zoom and talk and catch up. And what the heck are you doing? You know, you've left here and you're now here, and you've completely changed your career. What the heck is going on? Tell me about it. Let's talk. So it's kind of fun to see, you know, she's finding her niche, and she was very good. She is very good in what she was doing before. And so I'm curious to see why she's made such a big change and how she came up with what she's doing now. So I'm very, very curious to hear about how she came up with what she's doing now, and the stuff that she's going to, and what she's got, what her plans are and things. So that's going to be awesome. So now your tell your story question of the day. This is going to be a good one. And this one for me is very, very hard. And you'll find out why in a second. What is the best road trip that you have had to date? Looking back through all the years, all of your years, what is the best road trip you have had to date? Now, for me, that is a very difficult question to answer, because a lot of my vacations growing up were road trips, and we had incredible times on our road trips. We had a lot of fun. Our parents did a lot to make our road trips memorable, to just so that we could go have that family time together, we could have fun. And then, of course, here in the States, I've done some incredible road trips. I mean, I'm in Sparkles, and we've been traveling around for the last 2 years. Right now, we're just taking a hiatus. And that's okay. There's times you just need to, just put down some roots and sit in one place. And so that's what we've done just for now. But the last 2 years, we've done a lot of traveling. We've done, let's say, 12,000 miles around this country, and a little bit into Canada, just a little bit. We only went up to Vancouver, and then we came back, and yeah, that was a couple of years ago. But that was really pretty. I liked Vancouver. I've been there 3 times now. But it's sort of like, you know, how do I pick what the best road trip was? Is it one that I did with other people? Is it one that I've done by myself? I'm like, oh my gosh, a majority of my vacations that I have taken have been road trips. I'm like, jeepers, how do you choose? Because there's just so much incredible scenery. It's like asking me, there's 2 questions you never ask me because I am going to freak out. And this is probably going to be the 3rd question. The first question is, what is your favorite book? And the second question is, what is your favorite movie? Those are 2 questions you do not ask me if you want me to go, like, seriously. You want to, and then because I will talk for the next 2-3 hours on my favorite books. I don't have one favorite book. I have multiple favorite books that I have read over the years. I have multiple movies that I have watched over the years. I have 500 DVDs up there that shows you how serious I am about my movies, about my favorite movies and stuff, of movies that I watch over and over and over and over again. Some of them I have on Prime because I don't have the DVD for it, and I've purchased them through Prime. So I love my movies, and trying to tell me to pick one, I'm sort of like, yeah, no, that ain't going to happen. If you want me to pick one, it's going to be James Bond. And there's 24 of those movies. See the difficulty? You're probably asking, what's your favorite James Bond? I'm sort of like, oh crap. Well, my favorite James Bond actor was Sean Connery. That's easy to do. And it's like, what is your favorite James Bond movie? And I'm like, next question. So asking me, so this question is going to be up there with, what is your favorite road trip? And I'm like thinking back of all the different road trips we've done over the years. We've had the scariest one would have been when we're up around the Coromandel Peninsula, and we had the green minivan. So I was in my teenage years. And we're going from one side of the peninsula to the other across this road that goes up, because Coromandel Peninsula is very hilly. And you've got a coastal road that goes around, and you have a few roads that go crisscross over. And most of them are dirt roads, like they're narrow dirt roads. And the scariest one we ever did, but it's still a good road trip. The scariest one we ever did is that we're coming along this road, and we come around this corner, and there was a camper van coming towards us. And we're in our minivan and camper van. And my dad, of course, in the driver's seat. So he's on the right side of the vehicle. My mum's sitting on the left. and there was a drop off. Let's just say there was a long drop off down the road there, and my dad and the driver of the Class C, he's up against. So this road had literally been carved out of a hill. So there's like a steep drop here, the road, and then a dirt hill on the side there. So there is not a lot of room for maneuverability. You've got a minivan. Actually, it wasn't really a minivan. It's bigger than a minivan. We'll call it a minivan for now. There was a minivan and there was a Class C motorhome. I will tell you this, that was the scariest few minutes I have ever had. My mum was trying not to freak out. My poor mother, she was trying so hard not to freak out because there was a sheer drop on her side that she could see. And my dad had the wheels over as far as he could possibly get them. The other guy was over as far as he could go. They actually had to fold their mirrors in, I think it was, to get past each other. It was literally inch by inch. It was like inch by inch that they were going past each other. It was one of the scariest road trips I have ever had, was that road trip. So that was my scariest one. My best one, it's really hard to describe because there's so much beautiful scenery that you see when you are out driving. It's like, wow, what are some of my most memorable road trips that we had? And the fun, then of course you got to add not only just the scenery portion of it, because when it's a road trip, scenery is a big thing. But it's also the fun that you had on that journey, on the road trip, the fun that you had staying at the different hotels, campgrounds, or whatever. And it's like, wow, that's a really hard thing because especially when you're driving coast to coast in the US or you're driving through different states, every state is different. Excuse me. And that's what I love about New Zealand is like, you can go from, this is how I've always described it. When people in the States asked me what New Zealand was like, I thought, how can I best describe New Zealand? And then I found out that Colorado has the same land mass within a very, very, very close. It's basically the same land mass. That Colorado has the same land mass as New Zealand, land mass wise. Not lengthwise, not widthwise, but land mass wise. And I thought, and every state has something that we have in New Zealand. We've got the thermal areas, we've got the subtropical areas, we've got the mountains, we've got the rivers, we've got the ocean. And so I thought, So I came up with this thing that if you take all 50 states and you squish it into Colorado, surround it with water, add 5 million people, and was it 4.5 million people, 5 million people, and add about 40 to 60 million sheep, you got New Zealand. We have basically, you have everything that we have in New Zealand, just very spread out. Huge spread out. We've got desert areas, we've got mountain areas, although our deserts don't get as hot as your guys' deserts do over here. That one I will say, we don't get as hot as your deserts do over here. But it's sort of like, how do you describe, because in New Zealand you can go from ocean to mountains in 3 hours. We used to, when I was in Christchurch, when I was based at RNZF base Wigram, we used to have people in the wintertime that would go from the city, which is Christchurch is kind of on the there's beaches there in Christchurch. They would go from Christchurch, drive 3 hours up the mountains to go skiing for the day, and then drive back home at the end of the day. Or they'd stay overnight for the weekend and then come back. So just 3 hour drive, and they were in the mountains skiing from being by beachside to ski fields, 3 hours. It was, it's that close. It's just like that. And then if you wanted to, you could, they have this every year. They have this competition, which starts in Greymouth and ends at the Sumner Beach in Christchurch, where they go up over the mountains and down the other side in a day. They are running, swimming, cycling, swimming, and kayaking, I think. Oh, it's called the Coast to Coast. And it's a day thing. They start in Greymouth, which is on one side of the South Island, and they go across up over the mountains and end in Christchurch at Sumner Beach. And there's like running and cycling and kayaking or swimming or something like that in there along the way. It's kind of like a triathlon. They do that in like 11 or 12 hours. I'm like, that's insane. It shows you how narrow that portion is. But they're going up over the Southern Alps. It's just insane. They've got the pass that they go through to get through the Southern Alps and stuff. But road trips, it's sort of like, well, I've done coastal road trips, which have got incredible sceneries looking out at the oceans and things. And you've got those windy roads that go around and you can stop and you can see sea lions and other wildlife along the way. There's been the internal road trips where you're going around all the mountain regions and stuff, and you're coming across beautiful lakes and just gorgeous, gorgeous lakes and beautiful mountain sceneries and things. And that's just, and then you go, other drives that you can do where you go to the fjords and then take a boat trip out on the fjords. There's been road trips where you've gone to the geothermal areas and seen all the geysers and the smoking, the steaming, boiling muds and the acidic lakes that look really, really good, but you do not want to step in them because they're too acidic. So there's been like so much, and I've been into places where there's been these giant trees and even we did a bus trip one time that we drove along the beach and then up this river, up the stream, and stopped and did sandboarding down these giant sand dunes. There's been road trips that have taken us to the top end of New Zealand, to the bottom end of New Zealand, and so much in between. And then here in the States, we've gone I've done coast to coast 3 times now in a vehicle. Brad and I moved from Virginia to California. We went across the I-40. When I did my road trip last year, I went across from California to Florida along the I-10. And then when I came back, I zigzagged my way through the central states, and just incredible sceneries along the way. And it's sort of like, oh my gosh, what was the best one? There's one that keeps sticking out in my mind, and I just don't know how to describe it. But there was one portion when we were driving. Where were we going? From Nevada to Moab with my parents, and we had to take. Can't think of the road we had to take. We were in Arizona and we were going through this. We had to go through this narrow pass. They had a thing, if you're over 10 feet wide, you can't go along this road. And I'm like, okay, I'm only 8 feet wide plus my mirrors, and my mirrors don't stick out a foot. So I'm just kind of like, we're kind of pushing it. The actual vehicle was only 8 feet wide. It's actually only 8 feet wide, and we're driving through this thing, and we come through this area where it's been carved out, and you come into this area, and the only way I can describe it is that there's this road, and there are these sheer cliffs. It was huge cliffs. We were not in a canyon. I'm trying to remember where we were going, what road we were on. It was the way the thing told us to go, and of course we didn't have the RV safe driving map at that time. And it reminded me of scenes out of the movie Cars, where McQueen and Sally are taking their drives through the valleys and things, and you come out and there's these magnificent. It's kind of reminded me of those scenes. Where you just, you're just driving along this desert, right, and you go through this thing that's been cut out in the hill, and you come out into this gorgeous area. I know my dad got pictures of it. I probably should have got copies of his photographs because I could have taken. And this is one thing I keep saying: I've got to figure out how to mount something at the front of the RV to use it as a road cam. Because there's just so much incredible scenery that you see along the way. You're like, oh my gosh, I want to capture. It could be the way the sun is hitting the hills. It could be the way the sun's coming through the clouds. It could be, there's a dust devil there's the little dust devil thing going off over there where you got the little mini dust tornadoes going. There's the dust storms that you drive through. There's just so much that you see as you're driving, and you can't take pictures, and you don't have anybody in that passenger seat that can take pictures. Zeffie hasn't learned how to use a camera yet. But then I don't know how to tell her to just like maybe I could mount a camera up there somehow and just sort of, but it's all I'd rather have so I got to figure out how to mount a dash cam on the front so I can get pictures of the beautiful scenery you see, because when you go through that pass and you just break out and it's just sheer cliffs, and I mean we were all like we were just driving through and we're stuck in traffic because it's all roadworks and all that sort of stuff, and we break through, and my dad and I were like, oh my gosh, wow, this is incredible. And he's trying to figure out how to capture it on his camera, and my dad's telling my mom, look at this, because she's sitting behind me on the couch, and she's sitting behind me, and so she's having to lean out, but unfortunately she could see around me because the slide was in, and she's having to lean out to see. She's like, wow. And it was just like one of those wow moments where you weren't expecting to see what you got to see. So that was one that stands out. But there is just so much incredible beauty in this country. Even driving through the desert areas, there is something that's beautiful about them. There's beauty in everything that you see. And so trying to find out my best road trip, it's like, really? Yeah, we did the drive from San Francisco down to Los Angeles one time on the Pacific Coast Highway. That was a really cool trip. Took me 7 years to get my husband to take me to San Francisco. So I solved that problem by we were going out to LA for Thanksgiving, and he wanted to go out the week before. I says, okay, we're going to fly into San Francisco. We're going to rent a car and we're going to drive down to LA. He's like, okay. Yes, that was a very memorable trip. That was a memorable trip. I ended up in, that was the trip that at the end of it, we ended up, Brad and I ended up in 2 ERs on 2 different coasts in less than 12 hours. That is not something you want to experience. Because on our last day that we were in town, his mother passed out in a restaurant. And so we called the paramedics and everything else. She refused to go to the hospital with them. So we ended up taking her to the hospital and basically leaving her in the ER. But Brad's brothers came down and they were able to do that because we had a flight we had to go catch. Then we're on the plane and Brad passed out on the plane. He said he wasn't feeling well. They gave him some oxygen and then he just passed out. And so we had a medical emergency. Fortunately, we had an ICU nurse on board and he was amazing. And the pilots explained what the situation was, that we did have medical personnel on board that was taking care of the situation. They told the air stewards what was going on. The air stewards told the pilots told the air traffic controllers, and they said basically, put your foot down, you're coming straight in. And they cleared the path, they cleared the flight path for us to come straight in. We actually ended up getting in. I mean, we were already getting in like an hour earlier or something, and we ended up getting in an extra hour earlier. So we ended up getting in 2 hours earlier than we were actually scheduled to get into Washington Dulles Airport. And they made everybody stay in their seats while the paramedics came on to get all the information from the ICU nurse. And then Brad's one thing was like, I am not sitting in one of those wheelchairs. I am walking off this plane. He was determined he was going to walk off this plane. And so we walked off the plane down. We didn't even go down the skywalk. We just took the stairs from the skywalk down to the ground where the ambulance was and got him in the back. And the air steward flight steward helped me carry my carry-on down there because I had Brad's carry-on and my carry-on. And it was all sitting around my feet in the front of the ambulance and there wasn't a lot of space. So... And then we were off into another ER, and that was all within 12 hours, 2 ERs on 2 different coasts in 12 hours. I do not recommend it. But that was, I guess you could call that a very memorable road trip because it started with a road trip, like going into San Francisco, spending 2 or 3 nights there, and then we drove down the Pacific Coast Highway. It was beautiful. But there are so many incredible road trips in the US here, incredible road trips. And if you guys have not done a road trip within your own country, shame on you, really. Get out there and explore. There is just so much to see, and you will see unexpected things along the way. Like that time we went through that pass and we just opened up into this huge valley with these sheer cliffs. That was just an incredible sight to see. And they weren't just brown cliffs; they were like red. It was all red. It was that clay, that red, orangey clay type look. It was just gorgeous. And there's moments on the road when you are driving that literally take your breath away with the scenery that you see. The first time we saw the canyons, as we're starting to go in Utah, and we're starting to get over towards Moab, we're going up the hill, down the side of a canyon, across the floor of the canyon, up the other side, see the view of the next canyon, and it literally got the point was like, oh my God, it's another canyon. I got to keep driving. That's the trip that I had the very big mental battle in my head where I just wanted to pull over and leave everything and just walk away. And it's like, hang on, I'm in the middle of nowhere. How am I going to get anywhere? And I've got my parents with me. I can't let my parents down. I've got to keep going. And I just having this continual fight in my head as we were seeing beautiful canyon after beautiful canyon after beautiful. The vistas were incredible. And you top the hill and there'll be another gorgeous canyon. So there's lots of different road trips. Coastal drives around New Zealand, just incredible. Driving along the central roads in New Zealand, amazing. Driving up into the mountains and everything, into the Mackenzie country. Going over the Lindis Pass and into the Mackenzie country was just gorgeous. There's all these different lakes and mountains, and it's just, there is so much stunning beauty out there. You've got to go explore it. If you haven't taken a road trip around your state, go take a road trip around your state. Even if it's just a day drive, let's go 4 hours in this direction and come back again. What's 4 hours in this direction? It's my little Sunday mystery drives. Okay, we don't really go that far. We're running out for like 2 or 3 hours, but we'll end up venturing a little further out. eventually. But it's just getting out there and it's just starting to explore the areas and stuff. Just go out and see what's in your neighborhood, what's outside your city boundaries and stuff. There's incredible scenery out there. Just go and enjoy it. So if you have taken road trips, and like me, you're struggling with what was the best road trip you took, break it down into categories. What was the scariest one? What was your most memorable one? It may not be the best one, but what's the most memorable one? And why was it memorable? What was scary about your scary one? What is the most beautiful coastal trip you've taken? What is the most beautiful inland trip? We even did road trips around Hawaii. We drove around the Big Island and stuff to the volcanic national park. I think that's what it was. It was on the Big Island, but it was just gorgeous. And we drove through this one area, and the way we came over the hill and down the road and wound down, I thought, I feel like I'm back in New Zealand. There was this one portion of the road that I have driven in New Zealand a lot. And the second we came over the hill and we started this drive, I'm looking around, and the flora and the fauna around me looked just like it did back in New Zealand. The road went the same way because I've driven this other road so many times. I'm like, we're going to come up, I'm going to take this type of a turn and this, And it was just like I was suddenly transported back to New Zealand on this road. It was just absolutely amazing. And we did the road to Hana is incredible. There's so much. I'm going to put this question, the best road trip to date. I'm going to put that up there with what's your favorite movie and what's your favorite book. It's going to freak me out. Anyway, I got to go. I've waffled on for long enough. I've got people to talk with today, and I have people to find. So I've got people to talk with and people to find today. It's going to be a good day. Only because I'm not in the workshop today. The brain needs a break and needs to concentrate on something else. But go out, have a super fantastic sparkling day, and we'll catch you guys back here at 6 p.m. Pacific time this evening. And yes, so make it super fantastic and sparkling. Hey, konera.